Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for coming. On behalf of the Squantum Community Association and the First Church, thank you very much for coming. And we will make an attempt to stay on time tonight. Okay, a couple of basic housekeeping issues. There are restrooms over on the side. Please sign up for emails if you would like to hear about future events, which I'll talk about a couple of them. And donations are very much appreciated. It's our only means of financial support. So, the Squantum Community Association is a small group of 6 Squantum residents. We're wearing these name tags. Do the members all want to just wave? We have a couple up here, so if you have any questions, we'd be happy to, and I saw that hand, and I'll get you to that. Okay. What we do is we plan to offer quarterly events to foster communication and community spirit. We additionally planned this fall is on November 30th. We will have the 6 candidates for the counselor at large position here. Actually, that will be in the upstairs church because it has a PA system, which we don't have down here. Mike Morrissey is sponsoring a program on the opioid crisis, and that would be scheduled this fall. We will let you know when we're able to pull that date together. The Squantum Community Association is very grateful to the warm welcome and support for the members of the First Church, the trustees, and of course the pastor. We wouldn't have a place to meet if it wasn't without their welcome. So Pastor Doug would like to say hello for
Hi friends! So glad you're here! You know, this, what you all are doing tonight is part of the mission of this fellowship to this community. We believe that we're planted here for a reason, and this is part of it. So we're thrilled. Thank you all for availing yourselves of this space. Have a wonderful time tonight. Thank you for making the time to be part of this so that we can make better decisions as citizens. That's really important. And God bless you all. Take care.
As you all are probably well aware, there is a primary election on September 12th, and then the final election will be on November 7th. Please note that tonight is not a debate. It is simply a matter, an opportunity for us to get to know the candidates better and have them answer your brief questions on issues that are pertinent to you. We are here to listen to their responses, so please keep your questions brief. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to make opening remarks. Then we'll open it to questions, and then each candidate will have 2 minutes to wrap up. A brief thank you to Jane Shea and to Sally Wainwright for the yummy cookies back there. We thank you very much. And I'd like to acknowledge Noel DeBona, Nina Liang, and Dan Raimondi, who are also here this evening. And Louise Kowalski will moderate the program, and here's Louise.
Thank you. Warm welcome to everyone and our candidates. I'd like to begin by just reminding you, as Karen did, really we're not looking for statements by you, but questions. So our goal is to get in as many questions as we can so that the candidates have time to let us know more about themselves. So, anyone like to start? Oh, we won't want to start. I'm so sorry. Cut your film. I'm trying to move it along. We have to give them a chance to do their opening remarks.
Are we done?
Thank you. So we will start with our incumbent, Mr. Harris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise, and thank you to the Squantum Community Association. Who would have thought 17 months ago we were up here, there was a group of us waiting to hear whether or not I was going to be the city councilor or not. And wound up, I am. And I went, the second I landed on the ground, I was a new face that went running. I heard things when I ran against the late Brian McNamee that needed to be done. And I didn't only focus on Squantum, I focused on North Quincy, and I also focused on Marina Bay. But last night I had the opportunity to talk about Marina Bay, and tonight I want to talk about some of the things that we did here in Squantum. First off, one of the things which is really important was when I got in, I could have said, I'm mad that you made me go through what I had to go through, but I didn't. I worked with the mayor's office, I worked with everybody who's great, who works for the city of Quincy. And what happened was, we were able to move things around and make things happen for Squantum. One of the most important things that we have done is Squantum was on the list for a new school, and it was 8th. And now it's the next school. When Sterling shovels go into the ground and are up and running, Quincy, Squantum, our little school, 1919 it was built. Guess what? And it had some repairs, Band-Aids. This is a good thing for us. Other things that took place, folks that live in the moorings, I heard during my campaign that they had asked for years for a bus shelter. It was the first thing I asked for. It took about 9 months to get, and with help from the city, Sean Glennon, who lives here in Squantum, I smile when I see somebody sitting on a gloomy day in there. Other things that took place, we fixed Nickerson Beach. I was asked last year at the end of the season, can we do anything about the beach? Well, we did, with the mayor's help. 30 seconds. We have.
Don't you hate that thing?
It's actually a relief.
Not for me.
Another thing that's, before we end is we have the LED lights. Thanks to, we were first. We moved up to first thanks to the good people at my supporters of the 103 IBEW. And then we fixed a very dangerous situation down at the boat dock. We actually have a temporary boat dock there now, and it's a stop. But plans are for a permanent facility. And there'll be more stuff to come tonight that I have done. Thank you.
Mr. Shaughnessy?
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Pastor, Squantum Community Association. My name is Ali Shaughnessy. I've lived in Quincy about 35 plus years. I know this is not supposed to be a debate tonight, so I won't get into some of the things with the LED lighting and how it took 12 years after the deregulation to come in and finally get it here. So let's just talk a little bit about why I'm interested in trying to go into the city council. I believe that presently in Quincy, and I love Quincy, and I think it's a wonderful city to live in. And I like to see it continue to grow, and there's a lot of development in the city of Quincy today. But I think that the development in the city of Quincy today is going along so fast that it's not really coordinated that well. Where we have too many projects going on at the same time, that there's transportation issues, traffic issues, and we need a voice up in City Hall that's going to show some leadership, that's going to say the things that have to be said for the constituents, like let's stop and take a look at what we're doing, where are we spending all our tax money. I think that Quincy Center, I think it's a good idea to improve Quincy Center. I think it's going to become very nice and a real attraction for the tourism for the city of Quincy, which consequently the trickle-down effect affects all of us. It helps our taxes, it brings more people into the city, which is a good thing. Do I think we should be spending $17 million on a new park in front of the City Hall? Maybe not 17 million. I'd like to see it maybe half of that or so. I don't know. I'd just like to be able to say at the city council meeting, hey, can we talk about this a little bit instead of just going along all the time? You need a voice up in City Hall. I want to be your voice. I want to be your leadership up there. I want to let them know in the administration that they just can't push it through. Someone has to say, hold on, can we think about this? So as the debate continues, how am I doing on time? Not debate, but as the discussion continues, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
And Mr. Striffler.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's a good opportunity for the candidates to meet the residents of the ward. My name is Stephen Striffler, and I'm running for Ward 6 City Councilor. I lived here in Squantum from approximately 2001. I actually moved in the Saturday before September 11th. I live here with my wife and my daughter, who attends North Quincy High School, and my yellow lab Sneakers, that some of you may see.
Okay.
Last night, Shawnee asked,
Allie,
asked me how come I didn't mention sneakers.
I love sneakers.
I've been active in the community over the years. I've been involved in the youth sports, Squantum T-ball, Squantum softball, the Squantum Storm. I served for about 10 years on the City of Quincy Conservation Commission. I was on the task force that rewrote the zoning code about 3 years ago. And now I want to become an advocate for Ward 6. Everybody in Ward 6, North Quincy, Marina Bay, and of course Squantum. You know, these are exciting times in the city. We have a lot of development going downtown, North Quincy, Marina Bay. We've got a new school coming in Squantum. And I have an extensive background in construction, both as an attorney and as an engineer, which I believe will help lead to the success of the city. And the main reason I came here tonight is to listen to your viewpoints, get to know your concerns better. So I'd like to hear from the residents. Thank you.
Now we'd like to open it up to audience questions, and we do not need statements, just questions. And the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. But you can direct your question to 1, 2, or all candidates, so just let them know. Anyone? Just raise your hand. Who would like to begin? Yes.
Hi, Mr. Shaughnessy already spoke to it, but I am concerned of how rapidly growth is going on in the city, and parking, traffic control, and whatever else. I mean, we've had an awful lot of new apartment buildings in the city, and that's a concern of mine, of how we're going to manage that kind of activity, and definitely driving at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on some of our streets is pretty difficult.
Can everyone hear? Did everyone hear? So your main concerns are development and transportation, and how will we manage that in the city?
Yes.
Would you like each candidate to answer?
I would like each, I know Mr. Shaughnessy mentioned it as he spoke,
Okay.
so the other 2 candidates
All right,
as well.
We'll start.
Oh, sure. Well, you know, with the development, there's a lot of benefits as well. And, you know, we have to weigh things when you're on the city council. You have to have an open mind, and you don't rush into judgments. It's, again, a lot of the development had votes that were unanimous. And, you know, some of them weren't so unanimous, and there was back and forth. But I'm just going to speak to North Quincy's project. North Quincy's project will start now. I heard a lot of negativity about it, but that project is going to start, and it's going to start with a parking lot that's going to go from 862 parking spaces to over 1,600 parking spaces, and there's a timeline on it. For every parking space that is being taken up during the construction of the parking lot, the developer is actually going to have to pay money for those spots. So there's an initiative to get it in, get it done, get it built, and we'll have, while Wollaston is going under construction, those folks will have an extra 800 spots for those. That's just one point as far as North Quincy's issue. That will also help the commuters who take the MBTA. The MBTA is broke, and they need the money. They need trains, they need infrastructure fixed, And without the money that's being brought from that development, that I can speak of because that's in our ward, and that's what I wanted to concentrate in Ward 6. Plus, that development changes the face of the people in North Quincy. It allows them, their property value to improve as well. I wasn't going to, like I said earlier, all three, there's 3 parts of the ward. Why should we deprive them of the opportunity of making their neighborhood better too? And when that project is done, that neighborhood is going to be a better place. Thank you.
What's your name?
Jane Nelson.
Jane. Jane, you're not alone in your thoughts. As I'm out knocking on the doors, trying to get votes and introduce myself to the different people in the neighborhood for voting, they talk traffic. This is almost the order that it's in. It's traffic, taxes, what's going to happen with all the development. This community is going from being a one-bedroom style home community, or one single-family home, to being a multi-family type home. I mean, 4,000 plus apartments in Quincy over the past 3 years. There's a lot of development going on. And the crazy thing about the development that's going on, besides the traffic, is that not one of those developers has been held accountable to. How about if we have something there for the residents of Quincy? When you build in Boston, the city of Boston, and they sit down, the developer in the city of Boston, they look across the table at them, you know they say to them, you have to provide 50% work opportunities to Boston residents when you build your property. Now that's a very difficult thing to do. No one can probably make 50%, but it makes them aware that they have to do something to help the residents so they can work. Here in Quincy, we have tradespeople, qualified tradespeople that pay taxes in the city of Quincy, and they're driving past the developments, looking at the cars in the parking lot as they do the development, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and they're on their way to Somerville and Cambridge and Boston to work instead of working in their own community. And the traffic is going to become, you think it's bad now? This is nothing. The garage that Billy's talking about, it's going to happen. But it's going to happen when it takes up half of the parking lot that's there now. At the same time, the Walson station is being closed down. I've offered some answers to this. Open up the parking out of the Squantum Point Park. Have a free shuttle out there for the MBTA to pick up the people for free, to give them the incentive to park out there. Walson station, offer free parking there. Again, let them go out on the shuttle down to North, free. I know we only have like 10 seconds to go, I'm sorry. So you're not alone in that. Traffic is seriously one of the biggest issues for sure. Taxes and traffic. And I know this, when a developer comes over the bridge into Quincy, if I'm city councilor, he isn't going to say, oh, that's a great idea. He's going to come over the bridge and say, oh, Shaughnessy's here. We're going to have an issue here.
Development's good, but responsible development is better. Development improves the tax base, it provides new housing, it provides jobs. The problem is it also provides congestion. And responsible development isn't having all this massive development with 3 out of our 4 T stations operating at less than capacity. All it does is add more cars to the road. Anybody who's gone over the Ponset Bridge in the morning, it's a nightmare. It's probably one of the last things you want to do. What we need is a comprehensive intermodal transportation plan for the city, tying in ferry service with a bus service to the North Quincy T station. So that if there's not one solution, it takes a few solutions. Taking the traffic signals, using modern technology, making smart signals so they are linked together and they can adjust the timing on the signals depending on the traffic flow. The most important thing is, everybody wants to stay in the city. They want a place to raise their families. When they get older, they want to stay here. They want their kids to live with them. And if we're not responsible in our growth, we could price everybody out of the city. Traffic, there's not one solution. It's going to take a number of issues. How am I doing my time? And yes, the developers, they need to contribute to the city. They're coming into the city and profiting from the city. They should also bear the burdens of the congestion that they create. So as an advocate for Ward 6, I have 30 seconds. I will be a strong advocate for responsible development, which includes helping the traffic in the city. Thank you.
pressure they're under. We have Gina doing the 30 seconds and the big stop hand, so they're just waiting.
The only thing that could make it worse is bright lights coming right down here and make us sweat.
Sorry, we want to get in as many questions as, okay, I saw you in the orange next.
Mr. Harris, on the city of Quincy, since you're so involved with the Squantum School, have they done a study about Marina Bay and how this will affect the students and the students' population of the school?
No, they haven't. I can't speak to
I
that.
mean, are
It's
we going to
actually,
build a school that...
it's before the planning stage right now. Right now, what we did was we actually sent, what the council approved was, all we did was we sent an intent, the intent to build and get money from the state to, match some of our money. That's the stage we're at. And again, like I said, it was at the bottom, and now it's...
I mean, how will this new development affect our new school as far as population? Is our school going to be built to be undersized and our kids will be in smaller classrooms before they even get started?
Well, that's not the case. Well, if you walk through the Squantum School, it's pretty much in disarray. It really needs to be, we need a new school. We actually need a new school, and more than just the school itself, is the traffic is pretty serious out there. In fact, anybody who knows, the drop-off is terrible. The new school will...
I understand the traffic part of it, but
Right.
I understand that this is something that really needs to be looked at, is the population of the people that are going to be out there in this new development. And we can't be overburdening our small school as it is already.
Right. Again, we don't have plans that are set in stone, but again, that obviously will be something that, the powers that be will look at, and the people will come to us, we'll see it. The need of what, again, it will probably build to the need. That's what they're doing with the Sterling School. And again, having, in our neighborhood, having a new school on the block only helps our property values. And as far as Marina Bay, they haven't had that I know of, a lot of children that are coming to our schools right now. Again, that's again something that...
That's why,
Sure.
maybe a study should be done to see.
Well, again, we're a couple of years away. We're a couple of years away from that still, but it'll be something that at least it's in a queue that is in my lifetime that I would like to see
I
happen.
remember that we still had, like, when High Point was first going in, there was a lot of concern
Right.
about High Point, and where are these children that are going to,
Right.
they're going to live in High Point, where are they going to be going to school? Because we shut down a lot of our schools.
Right, and right now though, they're only I was over in Marina Bay for the ribbon cutting, and they're only, and spoke with those folks, and they showed us around, they opened the boardwalk. They're only at a small capacity right now, so to determine anything like that, the question that you asked is really, there isn't an answer right now to have, because we have to wait till the people move in to see how many children are there. If that's, again, if I had a crystal ball, I could answer the question, but I don't. I mean, again, I don't have that.
I'm not looking for a crystal ball, I'm just looking for...
Right, I understand.
As a city council,
Right.
this is something that should be, looked at and thought of.
Well, absolutely, and I'm sure the school committee will also have a good say in that matter too, in the process.
Would the other candidates care to comment?
I'd like to make a comment on that. So in regards to the elementary school here in Squantum, and congratulations that we finally got the ball moving on that on 1916, one of the oldest schools in the city. It probably should have happened 25 years ago. At the same time that the city of Quincy built the Quincy High School, beautiful school, Milton, little small Milton, built 3 schools in the same time that we built one. Because what happens in Quincy is we have good ideas, and then all of a sudden we get like a little log jam going on it. Or there's not, the ball doesn't get carried over the line. The goal is line there, it just doesn't get carried over. It does in some things, but other things it doesn't. As far as doing studies on the Squantum School goes, I can't address that other than to tell you we've had plenty of time to study it. That's for sure. Because we've had so many years that the school's been really inadequate for many, many years. And congratulations, I'm glad we're getting the school here finally. It's long, long overdue. And it goes again to other things in the city, which goes back to leadership. The flood insurance that everybody gets affected by, many people get affected by. Years ago, they talked about it with FEMA. There was a South Shore coalition of different communities that got together to talk about that. City Council Margaret LaForest knows the best about it. She's studied it tremendously and is an expert at it, I would say. And yet, the city of Quincy was slow to jump on it. Not because of Margaret. She was beating the drum, there was nobody listening. Nobody listened in the administration. There wasn't a leadership there to say, you know, hold it. There's something wrong here. So now it's happening. Everybody has to pay the piper. The door is closed. It all comes down to leadership. Thank you.
In Massachusetts, all school development is overseen by the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and they have certain criteria that needs to be met, and depending on how you adhere to that criteria depends on the reimbursement levels. And without knowing, I don't know exactly the planning process, but I'm assume during that process, if the oversight of the School Building Authority, that they look into future enrollments, current enrollment, and so the schools can be built with whatever they anticipate for the community, whether it's growing community or a shrinking community or a community they intend to remain even population. And still, it's hard to have a crystal ball to see how things work down the road. I know that's not a direct answer to your question, but that's kind of the process that goes into the engineering and planning and development of our schools in Massachusetts.
This side. Sure, go ahead.
Hi, Ricky Flo. A yes or no question. Do any of you have the courage to say, before they put a shovel in the ground in North Quincy, that the city of Quincy will step in and make sure that the Quincy Center T garage, which has been a skeleton for what, 7, 10 years?
8 years.
8
plus.
years, through how many mayors? Before they put a shovel in the ground of North Quincy, the Quincy Center is fixed and usable because we're going to lose Wallaston here. Yes or no, please?
Please,
Full
can I?
elaboration.
Can I?
Yes or no? Any of you willing to say you'll do everything possible to stop North Quincy development until they fix the sewer in Quincy?
Yeah, I have the courage to say that, right? And if I were in the city council many years ago, I probably would have been saying it then. The idea that they want to, right? You know, they tied in the demolition of the Quincy Center garage, just happening now, 8 years after it was closed, into the Wallaston station. And I believe the reason they did that is because the Secretary of Transportation was so embarrassed by the fact that the T hadn't done anything about it in 8 years, which is amazing to me. Because if you or I owned that garage as a profit center, do you think we'd have it closed for 8 years? I know this, if I owned it, it'd be open up in a year. Because it makes money. And the T, who doesn't have any money, they should have opened it up, rebuilt it, opened it up 8 years ago. I would insist that they not do anything until they open up that garage. Plus the Adams Station, you know they're going to work in the Adams Station garage too, right? No. They're not only working on Wallaston, Quincy Center, and Adams Station, they're going to start North Quincy at the same time. Oh. They just want to all put it all into, you know, they've had 37 years to do the ADA compliance at Wallaston Station. They want to do it at the same time they want to develop North Quincy Center. Now, North Quincy Station is going to be beautiful. I'm not against that. Not at all. You enter the city, hopefully it'll beautify the area, it brings in some much needed tax revenue. It's nice, and it's designed to be one of those centers where, and Bill had mentioned it at last night's discussion, that they walk to the T. No more automobiles. Well, there's always going to be automobiles. There's always going to be automobiles. So timing-wise, no. I would say, are you kidding me? What were you thinking when you said we can do all these at the same time? I would say no.
Yes, I have the courage to be an independent advocate for the ward. But at the same account, you also have to be reasonable, get along with your fellow council members and the administration so that you can move forward and develop and accomplish goals that are benefiting everyone involved. Let's face it, the Quincy Center garage is unconscionable for the T. To even let it get to the point where they had to do an emergency closing, the building obviously wasn't being inspected, it's just poor administration on the T. However, I wouldn't hold up the development of our school over another agency in the Commonwealth at the burden of impacting the students, the kids. Because let's face it, the school is outdated. We need to get that school built as soon as possible. And to hold another agency to prevent us from moving forward on another project, even though it's a laudable goal and you can champion both causes at the same time, I honestly see them as two independent projects there. Thank you.
Well, I have the courage to say yes, because, again, we're going to create very quickly, at a time that we don't have parking for the closure of the Wollaston Station, we're going to have an additional 800 parking spaces quickly built on that property. I know that, because this morning, after last night's debate, I researched it and I spoke with the developer. That's what a ward councilor does. He doesn't just howl at the moon, throw everything out and get everybody all worked up and saying that things are not going to be good here and it's going to stink. Guess what? We got to move forward. It's going to happen. We knew Wollaston Station was going to close 2 years ago and nobody did anything about it. Okay? So, you know, to put it on the ward council, what would a ward councilor do? What are we going to lie ourselves across the ground and say, you know, you can't build MBTA? That isn't going to happen. Are we going to lay a crane down across it and not let it happen? That won't happen. I say yes, I have the courage. I've had the courage fighting for this job since last year when I stood in front of you before. I'm here for the people, for each. There's more to it. There's more to it that has to be done. We've just put in, the city council approved, a brand new traffic department. They will fix it. They will fix it. They will help. I've been writing letters to the governor. They are not giving us, the state is not giving us enough, 30 seconds, because they have not given us enough police officers during any of this construction that's going on that they're causing. There should be 3 down at the circle, 1 at the no-name road, like they built the bridge. We had better traffic then. And I'll let you know, I commute every day to Woburn. And I know, and I've fought about traffic when I was here, not here, but fighting for this job when I ran against Brian McNamee. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Good evening. My name is Bob Young, and I lived in this city for over 20 years, raised 3 children, went to all the local schools, and then I lived in this ward over 5 Bay State Road, and I own that property to this day. There's a lot of issues that are being talked about that are very important, and there's one issue that hasn't been brought up, and I'd like to bring it up at this time, and that's communication with your constituents. And you just rose a very dear friend of mine, Brian McNamee. He was a wonderful man. A wonderful man. And one of the great things about Brian is that when you called him, and at least it was my experience, and I don't know about anybody else in this room,
He was there.
if you called him, he would get it done. Whether it was, whatever it was, he got back to me. And I'm going to say it right now. My experience with you has not been the same. I don't know how it is with the other folks here,
Same here.
Do you have
but
a
you
question,
know that that's true. So my question is, how would you, sir, and you, sir, handle my questions when I call you if you're elected? And I think the other folks might like that question as well.
To all the candidates?
No, because I have my answer from this gentleman, and he knows I came up to City Hall recently for the last time. So I don't have anything else that I need from him. We settled it at City Hall because he never got back to me.
Well, I didn't come here to criticize the candidates tonight. I think we had enough of that.
There's no criticism. I'm asking you how you would interact. If I made a phone call to you, would you get back to me? Do you think it's important? Do you think if this person called you, or that one, or this lady, how would you respond? There's no criticism, it's feedback, and he knows exactly what it is. It's not denigrating someone, it's feedback.
Okay, Mr. Strickland.
Well, I promise.
It's a direct question.
I've had experience with Bill. I called him for...
But I asked the question to these people.
Folks,
Excuse
can
me,
everybody
we
just
can
sit
let
down
her
for a moment,
speak
please?
too.
I have the floor. I asked the question.
I'm sorry, sir, that's your first comments.
Bob,
I'd like to answer your question.
thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we came here to be productive tonight, so let's try and keep going.
Can I restate my question?
No, I'm going to answer your question. I'd be more than happy to answer your question.
Thank you.
And I promise to be responsive if I'm a board counselor.
I appreciate
I
that.
try to keep up communication. In my law practice, I've always made an effort to communicate with my clients as timely as possible. And I promise to do that as a counselor also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bob, I'm an owner of a business, and I recognize that customer service is the whole business. As a city councilor, customer service is constituent service. So if I don't answer your calls, and I don't take care of what you want to get taken care of, and you have a legitimate gripe, and I'm not responding to you, then I'm not really doing my job. So that's not good service. I wasn't born and raised that way. I don't run my business that way. My family doesn't run their business that way. So if you call me and have something and a concern, I'm going to help you because you are my customer and my constituent. That's the way I look at it. So you call me, I'm going to respond as best I can. As best I can. I mean, I may not be able to answer everything, but I'll certainly. One thing's for sure, and I used to tell this to my salesmen, if you're going to let a customer down, we can't deliver the equipment on time. We can't get the crane there because it's across the train tracks on time. I would tell my salesman, call the customer and let them know you're going to let them down. Don't let them be waiting for that machine. Call them and let them know. Communication is the key, and I will do that for you.
Thank you.
For all of you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Since we've been letting every candidate answer, I'll let Mr. Harris answer.
Well, there are certain situations that happen. There are certain problems that can't be fixed. And one thing that I learned, I did make some mistakes. The mistakes are getting involved in neighbor disputes. Well, I answered you back, and I've called you back, but the answer wasn't the answer you wanted to hear. So I'm sorry. And there are other people in this room. There's one other that has been trying to distract me, and guess what? I'm not going to get involved in neighbors that don't get along. Plain and simple as that. We have a lot more things that are more important. We haven't even talked about our seniors here. All we're talking about is traffic. What about taking care of our seniors, making sure that things are done, streets are paved, roads are repaired, things like that. So I did call you back, sir. That's, you know what? Guess what? There's one thing that I can say.
Okay.
Is this is public record, and I'll certainly look at it. Yeah, I
I was up
will.
at City Hall, and you didn't call me back.
All right, and next question.
We have another
You should
question.
listen to your neighbor there.
We have another question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Regarding affordable housing in the city, I heard about stopping development, and if that's the strategy, then what would be the strategy to guarantee that there's enough affordable housing for city residents and their children?
Well, that's real simple. There's a mandate. There's a state mandate that federal mandate that we have to, the city is under the gun to make sure it takes place. And we will, and especially if I'm on the council, will assure that takes place. And I mean, there's a ratio. I'm not sure where we're at, but I know that it's something that's been discussed. I know Reverend Bennett speaks to it from the First Church up in across from the City Hall. He's spoken to it. He speaks in front of it all the time. And the council that's there right now is responsive to it. And we know what we have to do. And there is a mandate, and this city is mandated by a certain date to get it done, and they'll get it done.
on the federal mandate side of it, on the equation, it's true. It's probably not enough. You know, I don't know if it would ever really be enough, but that goes actually to the federal side of the equation, where you got to get the congressmen involved, the senators involved. But here in Quincy, where the growth is like exponentially, and it's just, our own children are not going to be able to afford to buy the houses that they grew up in. It's happening not just in this community, it happens in a lot of Somerville, Cambridge. I mean, it's happening all over the place. And, you know, we got to have creative ideas to figure out what are we going to do there. And are we going to try and bring in more commercial development to help offset the tax base for the residents, which is a good idea, and we try and do that. But I mean, Quincy leads the South Shore in tourism and so forth, but according to the ledger, we lead them in tax increases too. The average homeowner in Quincy, since 2011, their tax bill has gone up $1,228. I mean, so where's the balance? It's very difficult to do that, and we do have to bring in development, but it has to be smart growth. We have to figure out and look at it first and say, do we really need this now? Or if we do need it now, let's make sure that it's done correctly. Not at the same time that something else is being built over there. Or they're disrupting the traffic over here. Just a little thought process.
Well, I too support affordable housing. We all want a community that we can grow up in, have our parents stay in the community when they get older. When our kids grow up, come back and live together also. But we also need some property tax relief. And the best way to get that is through commercial growth. If you cut the taxes, you have to make up that revenue somewhere else. The best way to do that is to increase our commercial tax base. Then we can afford tax breaks to senior citizens, young working families who are also struggling also. A lot of times that gets lost in the equation. There's a lot of young families raising their kids who are struggling on a day-to-day basis. And you want to make them welcome and stay in Quincy also. So there's not one solution, but there's little pieces of the puzzle to put together to come up with a comprehensive solution. Thank you.